Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined podcast. I'm your host, Hassan. Joining me, as always, Tristan.
Hey, it's me.
And folks, this week, Tristan's continuing his journey into everyone's favorite 1999 comedy TV show, cartoon about a family.
Yeah.
That's right, folks. He's continuing his journey to rewatch all of Family Guy. We're now up to season, I believe it's 17 and 18. So, Tristan, take it away and tell us all about what makes these seasons of Family Guy so good.
You said that. I think I finally get the feeling of when I tell people there are 35 seasons of The Simpsons, and they get that panic. You just gave me that. The Family Guy's like, what the? There can't be 17 or 18 seasons of.
Oh, there's got to be. I didn't even look, but there's got to be more than that because it's still on the air.
Yeah,
and it started in '99.
That would make. Well, there were breaks though. It was canceled and recanceled and stuff. So,
22 seasons.
22. Oh, really? People like that much? Man, okay.
Buddy, it's still. There are, to date, 422 episodes as of the last episode came out March 27th, 2024.
Blaze it.
So, tell us all about your favorite seasons, 17 and 18.
I like the one where Brian dies. That's it. I don't know. I actually haven't even seen that one. Actually, the worst thing is, I have to say this, is that I'm planning on watching the Simpsons crossover episode with Family Guy as well as part of this whole thing.
The what?
Did you not know about that?
I did not know that was a thing.
No, that's a thing. Yeah, at one point they crossed over, man.
No, thank you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, but...
Not to turn this into a Family Guy discussion, but your joke about the one where Brian died, do you think... Family Guy has killed off a character in the same way that they killed off Maude Flanders or
No. So here's the thing, or Krabappel. Well, she didn't die off on camera. Edna didn't die in the show. She just kind of quietly passed away because the actress passed away.
Yeah.
They killed Maude Flanders because the actor quit. So they had to get rid of her somehow. So I think it was Julie Kavner. I think it was the one that filled in for Maude for that one episode where she dies.
No idea, but I'd love to. Oh man, hey, season 18, Quagmire dies, and they actually just kill him off.
Yeah, now we're talking. Let's kill Quagmire. I guess they wouldn't do that. Everybody likes Quagmire for some reason because he's a filthy old man. So
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I haven't watched Family Guy in a long time, so...
Yeah, same. It's been since maybe about 2003 for me, I think.
It'd be later than that for me, probably Well, I guess if we're talking new episodes, probably somewhere around 2006. I probably still watch reruns after that, but... That's
probably where I was as well. Probably.
Yeah.
So I don't like I said, it was canceled and then it came back and then it was canceled again. Yeah, I'm probably around 2006 as well. Cause I know there was a time where I was watching it again and I was like, this kind of sucks. And I stopped watching it. So
yeah,
it was probably around there.
Tristan, I actually have some bad news.
What? What's the bad news?
We're not actually talking about Family Guy. We're talking about The Simpsons seasons 9 and 10.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Seasons 9 and 10?
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's a good thing I watched those. Just those, though.
Definitely a good thing, because I have not watched those in a long time.
I've only ever seen seasons 9 and 10, despite doing this podcast rewatch. Yeah, here's the trick, is I've just been rewatching seasons 9 and 10 over and over and over again. So when I say I'm 22 seasons in, I've actually rewatched season 9 for the 12th time and 10 for the 10th time.
It's Okay. Well,
That's funny.
great. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, I guess rewatch update as to where I'm actually am in real life as far as the seasons go. I have just finished season 21 and I've started season 22 as of this recording.
So what? That would be like 2011-ish?
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Okay.
We're talking peak Obama eras.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Joe Biden references.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we always do, like, best episode, worst episode. I believe the previous season was the one that had the most 10s you gave out, correct?
Yes, it sure was.
So
was
I want to
5.
hear, how did this season?
So, here's the thing. Season 9. Now, season 9 doesn't actually have as strong of a viewing. So, just to recap, because season 8 is the golden child so far. Has a strong 8.44 with 5 10 out of 10s. And then every other episode is basically a 7 and up, with the exception of the clip show. If that clip show wasn't there, I would have given that this season like a stupid high score. So season 9, just to begin us off, it has 4 10 out of 10 episodes, in my opinion.
Huh. Okay. That's gonna mean it's good. So you said the last season was an 8.5?
8.44.
8.44.
Yeah.
7.6 for this season?
No, actually. So this one is at 8.32.
Okay, didn't dip as much as I thought it was going to.
As good as season 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, there are some great episodes. Do you want me to give you the worst first or the best ones first?
No, so let's do best first and go for your, other 3 into the one you want to talk about.
Do a half pipe. Cool. All right, cool. So, this shouldn't be hard because yeah, let's do them in order then. That works.
Okay.
So, the first 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
All singing all day. No, it's not true. The Last Temptation of Crust, which is Krusty's stand-up comedian career.
Jay Leno in it, huh? Okay, all right. Surprised that, something involving Jay Leno could be a 10 out of 10, but go on.
Yep. He's not in it that much. Not that much, anyway.
Fair.
Yeah. I missed one. Hold on. There we go. Roll it back a little bit. Miracle at Evergreen Terrace. That's the first instance of Craptacular. That one's great. It's a very good. That's where the town kind of Bart accidentally burns down the tree.
Okay, yeah,
The Christmas tree, and then
yep.
the town kind of comes together and gives them like $10,000 or whatever. So they put together like a down payment on a new car. And then after that, we have King of the Hill, which is not at all related to the King of the Hill show, despite this being around the era where they would be both in the same airing at the same time. This is the one where Homer gets really fit off of power bars and then climbs. Mount
Everest.
Not Mount Everest. It's like something like Mount Everest though. It's the tallest mountain in Springfield. It's like
Murderhorn.
Murderhorn. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Great episode.
This episode taught me what Sherpas are, and also taught me how they are exploited.
Yeah, sure does. But the best episode of season 9, in my opinion. So the ones I just listed are very notable episodes that everybody talks about for the most part. Like, they get referenced often enough. And I think they don't hold a candle, not totally anyway, to episode 24 of season 9, Lost Our Lisa. Now, I think this episode is it's just so good. it's got a really good feeling to it. It has an A plot and B plot. B plot is resolved by like the 10-minute mark, maybe, if not earlier. But the way this works is that it's like teachers' conference day in Springfield, and so the school is out on a weekday, and the kids have the reign to do whatever they want. So Bart and Milhouse go to a joke shop, and they buy some like prosthetics for Bart's face, and he's like, well, you know, they just don't stay on too well. And Milhouse is like, well, I use a little bit of dog dew and put the prosthetics on that way, and like they sound better. He's like, that's stupid. I wouldn't use dog dew off the dirty ground. So they go to the nuclear power plant where Homer is, and borrow some like industrial strength adhesive, and they use that to stick it all to Bart's face, like big teeth, toucan nose, a faucet coming out of his head, that kind of stuff. And so like he comes home, he's like, look at me, and Marge is like, oh, that's dumb, why would you do that? And he's like, well, I stuck it to my face, and, you know, he's got glue on his face. And then they have to take him to the hospital. But meanwhile, Lisa wanted Marge to take her to the last showing of the Egyptian Isis exhibit. And this is going to ruin this whole day, because it closes soon, and now they can't get there, because Marge has to take Bart to, you know, the hospital. Sure. Lisa realizes that, hey, she's mature. She can just take the bus. Not going to be a problem, right? However, you know, Marge wouldn't approve it. And she's like, Mom, I could just go and take the bus. It's not a big deal. Marge's like, no, you're too young. Out of the question. Lisa decides to trick Homer into basically letting her take the bus. She gets lost.
Frick.
Well, it's not hard to trick him because it's Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
But, you know, she gets like off the last stop, which is like in the middle of the desert, and has to make her way back into Springfield proper, into the town. And Homer realizes what he has done and runs out right away to try and find Lisa and bring her back and like essentially save her. And this episode has it's weird because it's not all that funny until about like the halfway point of the episode, which is weird to say, but it's got a good vibe and like a generally like a fun feeling to the episode, and good writing and a good plot. So Lisa gets lost at this point, and Homer finds her by bribing a cherry picker operator with a bundle of balloons so he can ride his cherry picker. Finds Lisa, and this has one of my favorite like pratfall gags of the entire series. This is like, to me, this is funnier than like anything Sideshow Bob gets into. So he's in the cherry picker. He sees Lisa, and he's like, "I'll like let me put this down. I'll come get to you." And he messes up, and the cherry picker starts rolling down the hill he's on towards the river. And Lisa's racing like alongside of him, trying to get to him. And so he lands in the river, and like the cherry picker is starting to float down the river. So Lisa runs to a bridge where it's a drawbridge, and she's like, "Lower the bridge!" And she like points to her dad. He's like, "Lower the bridge!" And the guy looks over, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, I get it. I'll lower the bridge." And so like as Homer is coming under the bridge lowers, and you see like the cherry picker and Homer go under, and then just the cherry picker come out. And because Lisa yells like, "Grab onto the bridge, Dad!" And it cuts back to Homer under the bridge, and his head is stuck, and just cars are driving over it. Like, oh, I love that. And then the icing on the cake is the drawbridge operator is like, Lisa's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to like, you know, crush him." He's like, "Oh, I thought you told me to crush him." Oh, okay. They want me to crush that guy. Which is like, I love that bit. After that, though, the rest is about like, it's weird. It's one of those episodes that feels longer, but because there's just so much more to it than what they what you feel like they actually have in the can. So like I said, that's like the halfway point. And then the rest of it, actually, that's like more than the halfway point. Then the rest of it is basically like, okay, bam, here we go. Because Homer hates the fact that Lisa is not going to be able to see this exhibit, but the exhibit is closed. And he's like, screw it, we're taking a risk, and we're going to break into the museum and go and enjoy our time. And it's this really endearing conversation between him and Lisa about taking risks and doing what you want, even if it means that you shouldn't do these things, because you might not experience life in the proper way if you don't take a few risks. It's worth it.
What's interesting is you say that,
yeah.
But I like that this episode starts with the idea of Lisa is not allowed to take the bus by herself.
Yes.
And I do get it. I get where that comes from, and I'm not trying to tell a parent how to raise their kid that. No. But it's interesting to me that is a major part of this, and that's sort of the Reagan era of scaring parents that everybody is out to abduct their children has just become the norm at this point, that the Simpsons can have this and it's not even like a remotely contentious thing, or that's just Marge being over worry ward, that she's worrying more than she should, because it feels like pre-Reagan it'd be like, yeah, it's fine to let my 8-year-old get on the bus and go to the mall, whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That is very pre-Reagan, but it's not. I guess it is actually quite post-Reagan-esque about that. In a way, though, it's just common sense, because Lisa is 8 years old, and Marge being Marge is essentially the moral center and common sense factor of the family, where she goes, we do this because of this. That's Marge's character. So when Lisa says, I can take the bus, it's no problem, I'm smart enough, I'm mature enough, and she goes, no, you are 8 years old, meaning you don't have the experience that we do, you couldn't take the bus, not because I think you're dumb or bad, but because you don't understand these things just yet. And you will find yourself lost, and all this stuff is going to happen, and it's just a big risk that isn't worth taking. So, yeah, that's what Marge is saying. On the flip side, the way Lisa gets Homer's approval to take the bus is she tricks him by saying, I could take a limousine instead, but that's like $200. He's like, well, Lisa, I know you had that limo ride set in mind, but maybe you should just take the bus instead. Okay, Dad. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, we probably shouldn't spend too much longer on this, so let's hear about...
Well, hold on. There's actually an even bigger thing. So, like I said, there's that. But right after the risk-taking speech, they break into the museum, and they have this wonderful little moment. And it's just like... To me, this is the defining Lisa and Homer moment, is that when they're in this museum, after breaking in, they're going around the museum at night, and this is where we get the velvet rope joke. Oh, Dad, we couldn't cross the velvet rope. See? It's a velvet rope. So Homer accidentally knocks over the orb of Isis, that it tumbles down, and they have this moment where they think they broke it, but it turns out to be a music box. And the two of them sit there and they listen to this ancient music being played. And nobody has discovered this since 4,000 years. They are literally the first two people to discover what this thing does. I know that's probably impossible because of the way things are. But it is deemed the mysterious orb of Isis. Nobody knows what it does, that kind of shit. And so they have this moment of we are the only two that have ever heard this song in our existence, and this song dies with us. And they put it back, and they leave, while whistling the Old Spice theme song. But even still, So that's to me the reason why Lost Our Lisa. It's really funny at the end, and then like has these moments of like just true, genuine Homer Lisa connectivity. Anyway, the worst episode.
Lisa the Skeptic.
No, that was good.
Yeah. Never cared for that episode.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I see where you're coming from. It's where it's the angel statue thing for anybody who's not in the know. Where like they find the angel statue at the new opening of the mall, and they're like, "Oh, come to our opening of Angel View Mall, low prices," and then like that's the whole thing. But meanwhile, it almost starts a religious war in Springfield. No, the real final, like the real worst episode of the season is the clip show, which is the all singing, all dancing clip show. And like I said, there's a factor here where I give every clip show a 3 out of 10, no matter what. I don't care how good it actually is. It's a 3 out of 10, but you can go up. You can go up. And the all singing, all dancing clip show takes it away at 5 out of 10. So that's how good season 9 is that the worst episode is a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
And the worst episode is a clip show where it's all the good songs. And, I mean, it's got the paint your wagon setup as well. It's where we all learned that Paint Your Wagon is a real movie, a real Western with those characters and those actors doing that exact thing. A Western comedy, sing-along, happy hour kind of movie with Clint Eastwood in it and Lee Marvin. Shouldn't exist.
It's a bad movie. Yeah.
It's a bad movie. But man, is it a great setup to this episode. Because like here's a bad movie about horrible songs, and here is our thing with our equally, in their eyes, in the writer's eyes, bad songs. But I mean, we're reiterating some of the classics here, like the Stonecutters theme, Maison Derriere. We have Apu's like a song.
The Who Needs the Quickie
March? Quickie March. You have See My Vest, and then also like it's all singing, all dancing throughout the episode as well. So this is when like Snake bursts in to rob them because he can't get the song they're singing out of his head. It's actually pretty good, but again, clip show begins at 3, and you can go up or down.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a clip show, right? How much can you say?
It's a clip show. What's your choice for season 9?
I forgot that we're getting into the point where like some of these episodes are definitely ones that like I'm having to like because for a lot of the past seasons I could read the first sentence, maybe it would take 2 sentences for me to remember it. We're starting to get in the ones where I'm having to read like more like 3 or 4 sentences. And so this is one I completely forgot about. And this episode, man, this is a window into the past. The Cartridge Family.
The Cartridge Family. I like this episode a lot.
Oh.
A lot.
For context, this episode aired November 2nd, 1997. And the summary of it is basically just, Springfield people are worried about crime, so Homer gets a gun. You're just like, this is like 2 years before Columbine, and just, man, in the context of modern America, this episode would have
it would have a cow, man.
People make like, both very serious and mockingly the whole like, you couldn't do this today, stuff got too woke.
Yeah, sure.
But I genuinely don't think you could make this episode today with the tone that the episode has in a world of just the amount of gun violence in America, hey, at one point, Bart and Milhouse literally get access to it. The number of just children that literal situation happens of, they came across mommy and daddy's gun in the bedroom and then shot themselves and died. And it is tragic and horrifying.
Yep. There's literally a William Tell thing. Yeah. Literally a William Tell play in front of it's yeah. It is both trying to decry the usage of guns, as well as still trying to make a fun, good, happy episode of a Simpsons show. It's a balance. I find that it's a good balance. It is still a very good episode. But I mean, it has some choice lines. But it is hard to take this serious of a subject and make this into a thing. And I think if this had to come out post Columbine, I'm pretty sure the episode would have been pulled and not aired for a few years.
I don't Columbine definitely seems like it would be the cutoff, but imagine trying to have this episode in 2024. It just would not fly. We cannot have us be just this flippant towards a subject this serious and with how much damage it has done to the fabric of American society. It is seeing this, my jaw just kind of dropped of oh my God, I forgot there was an episode that did this. This was not meant to be an edgy episode, but
no, ends up being edgy. It's
almost 30 years later. Yeah, it's
yeah, I kind of thought, now that I know this is in season 9, I actually thought that this was season 12, post Columbine, around the era of 9/11 kind of thing. That's what I kind of thought. It's I remember this being a newer episode, basically, but I was wrong because it's season 9. Whew, yeah, it's that said, has some very choice lines in it. A lot of great quotes. You get stuff and this is for shooting down police helicopters. Oh, why would we need anything like that yet? Or 5 days, I'm mad now. I'd kill you if I had my gun. Yeah, well,
you could not write those lines now. That in 1997, that was not a problem.
No.
Today, you go in a world where we need stricter background checks, having that joke. Even just make that joke of the idea of I'll shoot you if you make me wait. Today you'd be we can't make that joke. People do that. It's
yeah, we're too crazy for that shit now.
Yeah, and it just goes back to, we talked about last episode, that if The Simpsons was not still an ongoing thing, it wouldn't work as well. But because it is this family that are always stuck in the same age, they are this perfect window back into the past for things like this, where you go, wow, things were genuinely different then. That idea gets thrown around a lot. Oh, it was different back in the day, but it really was different back in the day.
It really was, yeah. Yep.
That's all I have to say about that. So season 10, 7.6 out of 10, right?
Sure. Season 10 gives you the incredible surge of power like God must feel when he's holding a gun.
Wow.
Great lines.
No, it's a fantastic
Cartridge
line.
failing is great lines. I hate it. So season 10, you said what? 7 point what?
7. I just reused 7.6, I guess.
Oh, okay, sure.
Eventually it's going to be right.
Not too far off.
Okay.
7.34.
Okay, it did drop quite a bit. I was expecting that. We, just to give a peek behind the curtain to listeners, we were talking about this season before we started. And if you look at this on Wikipedia, you look at the past seasons with guest stars, you're okay, okay, so there's some. You get to this season, and the list is about 5 times as long and just full of this person's themselves, this person themselves, this person themselves. It was definitely, I looked at and went, okay, yeah, I can see this is probably the point where things start to just become a little bit more referential, a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Goofier, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, it's definitely a goofier season. It begins the era of them not caring so much about the show, which is sort of weird to say. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's hard to it's kind of hard to pin it as to what exactly happens here. And it's both, hey, this is the 10th season of a show that's been on for a long time. And it's like, well, maybe they should end it pretty soon. However, as we all know, that isn't what happens. And what we end up with season 10 is a season where they're pretty burned out. And I don't think there's any real room to go with a lot of the stuff that they want to do. So then and now they're also too big for their britches, and now we have a season where we have a lot more guests, and the plots are a little weirder. Just a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. So yeah, we're starting to get to that point. We're starting to get to the point where we're hitting that, we're just cresting over the valley. That's what I'm trying to say. Because if we're at season 8 being like the peak, and 9 just kind of starts the downturn, 10 just starts like really dropping us down. Like the roller coaster is on its way. So, do you want to hear the top first or the worst first?
Let's do worst first.
Worst first. Okay. Oh, and also just to point, we'll point it later for the 10s. There are some 10s.
Okay.
Worst episode. Mm-hmm. Wild Barts Can't Be Broken.
I'm going to say off the title, I don't remember it.
Nope. Most probably don't. So basically, Bart and all the friends, all the kids at Springfield are essentially blamed for this extreme, drunken, violent bender that Homer and his friends go on. They go across Springfield and just trash the entire town. Absolutely destroy it. And so the next day, all of the destruction is blamed on the kids. So the town implements a curfew that has kids in bed by like super early, and indoors super early, and this kind of stuff, so that they can't do this stuff ever again, even though they didn't actually do it. So you have them setting up this like secret spy network because kids know what their parents are talking about. Even if they don't really know, they can repeat it and they can broadcast that stuff. So they essentially figure out a way to get a pirate broadcast happening and air the dirty laundry of a lot of Springfieldians.
Okay, I vaguely remember this now.
Yeah, the big memed thing is the giant billboard of Chief Wiggum, where it says like "Kids, we're watching you," in big red text, and he's drinking a cup of coffee. Like, "We never sleep." It says right there, "Cops never sleep," kind of thing. It's been memed like crazy. So. This episode gets a 4 out of 10. I don't think I actually mentioned that. 4 out of 10. And the reason why it does is because it's got a weak plot. Not much is really resolved. And it has one of the worst songs that they have tried in a while. Because Season 9 doesn't really have any musicals, but they have all singing, all dancing, which sort of just, it's a musical episode through and through. Wild Barts Can't Be Broken has a song that essentially is like, kids, they're dumb and stupid and we hate them, kind of thing. Adults, They're all still stupid and we hate them. It's one of those songs. It's kind of lame. It's a pretty lazy song. It's got a lot of just like whatever humor in it. And the episode just basically ends with like the elderly getting a bill passed where everybody has to be in their own homes by like 8 p.m. So like Ken Brockman is doing the evening news in his home. All our COVID times.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
Here's what I'll say about this episode is
Yeah.
Prior to right now, and you reminding me about it, if somebody had like, if somebody just said, hey, when was the first time you had ever heard about or seen the concept of pirate radio?
Yep.
Even though this came out in 1999, I would have told you absolutely, in no uncertain terms. No, definitely it would have been years later with 2003's Family Channel, Radio Free Roscoe. Literally, that would have been, I just would have been like, no, it's the first time I ever would have heard or seen it. There's no way I saw anything before. So somebody was like, no, there's a Simpsons episode. I'd be like, nah, definitely not.
There's no way.
Remember. Just zero memories of this episode until right now.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, there was a radio pirate broadcast. Wow, I don't remember that at all. I remember more about Radio Free Roscoe than this episode. I think that says enough that you need to know about it.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, this episode has like some like Max Headroomy stuff in it, but not totally. Well, not Max Headroom, but more so like the pirate broadcast where they guys wore the Max Headroom mask and then started doing like weird lewd things on the camera. Yeah. Look that up if you don't know what it is. So yeah, that's the, in my opinion, worst episode of season 10. 4 out of 10.
Yes, sir.
It's still not the worst thing in the world, so like, honestly, my 4 out of 10 starts becoming a lot harsher later on as we start watching more of them.
Yeah, I can understand. So let's hear about the 10s.
Okay. 2 10s. 2 of them. Only 2. But they're good. So, not in order because my real choice is the earlier episode. But so episode 13 of season 10 is Marge Simpson in Screaming Yellow Honkers.
Okay. Yeah.
Canyonero.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where she gets the Canyonero. The F series, she gets road rage. She has to go to the road rage like a school, and it is a wonderful episode, if not a little inane and crazy. So
the thing about this episode that has always just stuck with me is this episode came out February 21st, 1999.
Yep.
One of, to me, it's up there. It's not like necessarily top 10, but it is a very iconic episode.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You say Canyonero, every Simpsons fan knows it.
Now, to be
there
fair,
are so many people I talk to and will just mention like, oh yeah, SUVs, they're more likely to flip over in accidents. And people are like, what? It's like the fucking Canyonero episode references that back multiple times. Like, what do you? Why are you acting like you've never heard this?
Yeah, if you take a sharp turn in an SUV, well, it used to be if you took a sharp turn in an SUV, they would flip over.
They're a little better, yeah.
Yeah, they're a lot
That's
better.
only because they got so much wider now.
They're wider and they're also a little more stable. They're also more bottom heavy. So
yeah, they kind of fixed that, but they're still problematic. But it's just it's the thing about that episode. I always just think about when I have those conversations. It's like there was a Simpsons episode that went over this. Everyone should know this.
Yep. This is true. Yeah, the episode that actually introduced the Canyonero is the Last Temptation of Crust, like the one where he becomes a stand-up comedian. Because that's where he advertises the Canyonero, and then the theme song kind of comes back in this season. But my actual 10 out of 10 episode is season 10, episode 9, Mayor to the Mob, which, yes, has a guest appearance.
Okay.
Yes, it does. But it's fucking Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. And like Mark Hamill being a voice actor means the guest appearance is really good. Like, he's really good in this episode. It's hard to top that. I mean, you would get guest appearances by Phil Hartman. We've seen that. We talked about that. And it's like, that's always kind of weird because Phil Hartman is like on and off, whatever. He's not necessarily a guest per se, but yes, but no. Considering he plays like kind of mainstayed characters up until he had died. All that stuff. But yeah, this is like the first time we've had a guest actor that was really, really good at the job of being a voice actor, because Mark Hamill is a voice actor, just so happens to also be Luke Skywalker.
Who?
Some guy who wields a magic sword. He's the Joker in the animated series of Batman.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know his voice acting chops. I thought you were talking about him doing actual acting.
Oh, okay.
Of some sort.
Yeah. He's in some sort of series of Starred Wars, I think.
You know what? I think you're confusing it. He was in Guyver.
It was the Guyver movie.
What you're thinking.
Yeah, and that one, but like, wasn't he also in one where he was a weird like time cop sort of thing? Not like Time Cop, but like kind of like Time Cop.
I'm actually not sure what you're referencing.
He was. I'm not sure. I can't remember what it's called.
I have no idea.
So, Mayor to the mob. Homer becomes the mayor's bodyguard after a riot breaks out at Baimon Sci-Fi Con.
I do like that name. That's always stuck with me.
That's right, Baimon Sci-Fi Con.
Yeah.
So, Mark Hamill is, yes, the best guest actor they've ever had. Rivaling him would be John Goodman. I think he was really good in the episode he was in, but not this good.
Okay. Yeah.
There's just like, so he even comes in as a side character as well to flesh out the cast, which is like a Sergeant Lavelle, which is the drill sergeant who trains Homer to be the best bodyguard that he can be, and Homer ends up being like the best bodyguard Mayor Quimby has ever had. And this is just I love how he becomes the bodyguard, because they're at Baimon Sci-Fi Con, and it's Quimby and Mark on the stage after Mark Hamill was trying to give them a speech about saving money with Sprint, because their phone premiums might be too high. And they're starting to boom, and Homer's like, "Hey, he's trying to save you money on your phone bills."
I don't think Sprint exists anymore either.
No, yeah, and like I think they rolled that into Virgin. But then like there's the bit where like he's like, okay, well, let's talk about Star Wars. Okay, who here loves Star Wars? Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay, who wants to help me act out one of their favorite scenes in Star Wars? Who wants to be Obi-Wan Kenobi? And like then because of that, a riot breaks out because everybody wants to be Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. And so like Mark is up there with Quimby, and they're like yelling for help, and Homer just like perks up and he yells, "Nerds!" and runs in and starts beating people up and grabs them and saves them. It's just such a Homer thing to fucking hate nerds so much. I love it. This is where you get the mob milking rats to provide milk to the...
Oh, is this the...
it's not Malk.
It's not that
Malk
one.
is a whole different thing. Yeah, they had two weird off-kilter milk jokes.
So is it this one or a different one where it's Fat Tony saying, "People like rats, but they don't want to drink the milk"?
It's this one, yes.
Okay, I love that.
People like rats, but they don't want to... Joe Mantegna really brings this episode as Fat Tony.
Fat Tony.
He's so good as Fat Tony every time he does it. But yeah, there's a great little exchange after the initial riot with Homer and Mark Hamill. Where, like Homer he picks up Mark Hamill and like saves him and puts him on a bench, and then Mark's like, "Oh, I guess I gotta go." And he stands back up because he had twisted his ankle. Homer's like, "Hey, I thought you twisted your ankle." And Mark's like, "Well, you see, the thing about that is," and he just runs away. Just fucking making weird noises. They're milking rats, like I said. The awful version of Guys and Dolls the go-to, where clearly the people who wrote the script have either A, never seen Guys and Dolls, or hate that musical, Because the only song they sing is Guys and Dolls. We're just a bunch of crazy guys and dolls. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
Fucking...
I'm personally not a big fan of it.
It's not great.
Terrible,
No.
but there's a lot better musicals from that era.
That's also where we get the Luke be a Jedi tonight. Do it for Chewie and all the puppets too.
Okay, it's a good musical one at least. I'll give it that.
Yeah, there are some amazing exchanges here. The plot line is great. It's well written. Like Mayor to the Mob, wonderful episode. Truly deserving of the 10 out of 10. It's up there as one of my top favorite episodes, I think, because of how laugh-a-minute it is.
Also, I am not familiar with it. It looks incredible. I believe the movie you were thinking of is Time Runner.
Time Runner, that's it. Yes,
from 1993.
Yeah, it's an honorary film. It's an honorary film.
Look, the box art for it, kind of incredible.
Yes, it is.
I don't know why time is in a weird font where
don't question it.
The I and the E are smaller than the T and the M, but
No. Yeah, it's wonderful. Anyway, what is your choice for season 10 of Song? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So, I'll need to give some context here. Because the episode I want to talk about is Simpsons Bible stories. And the reason I want to talk about it is because I grew up in a household where one parent's Muslim, one parent's an atheist.
Yeah.
So a lot of like Christianity and the stories around it and that, I only learned those through media, through other shows telling it. So for example, the first time I ever heard about, Moses and the parting of the seas and came to understand this story was from Rugrats.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So this episode is like the Simpsons doing their sort of kind of Treehouse of Horror style series of parodies.
Yeah.
But one of these in particular, David and Goliath. I didn't realize until within the last year, the part in this. So Bart is David, Nelson is Goliath. Mm-hmm. The part of this where Nelson is like multiple stories tall, giant,
yes,
is them embellishing. Because this is the only full version of this story I've ever seen. Other things have referenced it, but I've never seen this story played out anywhere. So this entire time, when I hear about David versus Goliath, in my mind, it literally was normal-sized guy versus an actual giant. Yeah. And only recently have I learned, no, it's like a 4'8" dude versus a 6'1" dude. Like, oh, I mean, yeah, it's still impressive he beat him, I guess, other than he used a weapon, so kind of not really. But also, it's not as cool as regular dude beating a giant.
That's true.
And so I mostly just want to talk about, for my own personal reasons of that, where like several of these stories are the kind of things where The Simpsons is in some ways the only experience I have with the full stories of it, like King Solomon. Mm-hmm. Like how many other shows just stuff references the King Solomon story.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I can't think of anything else that's just done it in full. It's like The Simpsons was how I came to understand the full story of King Solomon in a way.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I have to wonder, as we become more and more of a
less theocratical,
a non-religious society, are there more people in situations like me where they're just going, yeah, I don't know, I never read the Bible, I've literally, the only times I've been in a church are for weddings. That's it. I've never read a Bible. I just was not in a religious household that way.
Fair enough.
And so it's weird looking at this episode and going like, yeah, no, this is how I learned these stories, was these weird Simpsons parodies.
Okay. First things first. Simpsons Bible stories, 6 out of 10.
No, it's fair. I don't necessarily think it's a good story.
No, it's not.
Episode at all.
I get where you're coming from. 6 out of 10, whatever. From my experience, so I grew up Irish Catholic, so I have heard all these stories before. Like, my family was pretty religious. My mom and my grandparents especially. So I've already heard Adam and Eve. I've already heard Moses. I've already heard King Solomon, Goliath, David and Goliath, that kind of stuff. I've heard these stories in Bible study classes and that kind of shit. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with these. These are fine depictions, good parodies. No issue there. I have no problem with that stuff. My problem is this. This episode starts us off on a trend, and it is a trend that I usually can't stand. And it is the trend of The Simpsons give you 3 stories of blank. And let me say this. This one gives you 4, so we're already kind of like weirding out with the trend, but we're starting it. We're starting the trend. So this is 4 stories plus the ending bit. And this trend happens pretty much every season after this. And once in a while it's fine, and it's just one episode out of like 20 plus. It's not a big deal. But these are episodes that start replacing the clip show a little bit as far as like the lazy episode. Because you can do that with these. You already have the story written right there. You know what happens. Just add the jokes in. Kind of writes itself. Whether it's good or not, doesn't necessarily matter. It's in the can. Print it, ship it. It's good. So, that's the problem with this episode. However, I like your take on this because I think you're right that I think there's a large part of the population, especially North America, who have not heard these stories from a preacher, priest, or Bible studies class, whatever.
Family,
Family, whatever it is. And this is their window into seeing the Bible. And I mean, to be fair, these are all Old Testament stories. And the episode does end with the rapture, which is sort of... that one's weird because it's kind of Old and New Testament at the same time.
I don't remember that part of it.
Oh, yeah, it ends with the rapture. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lisa almost goes to heaven, but like they drag her back down. Why are we not going up to heaven? Oh, right, the sins.
Also, I'll be honest, I don't remember many of these sort of,
Yeah.
The Simpsons brings you 3 story episodes. I will say,
man.
though,
Yeah.
my one, the one thing I will say is those Simpsons present you blah, the version of Macbeth they do, 10 out of 10.
Son.
And now I am the dead.
Well, there's that. I gotta point out, first off, that episode, you're right. Especially that segment for Macbeth, because it is basically, they do the play, and it's basically Marge is Lady Macbeth as herself as Marge, and Homer is Macbeth as himself as Homer. And it's Homer trying to become Macbeth for the play. And there's this beautiful part, and this is getting off on a bit weird tangent for an episode we haven't even gotten to yet, because this is like 10 seasons later. But yeah, there's a point where like Homer does the soliloquy from Macbeth, and you kind of forget that Dan Castellaneta, who is Homer, can fucking act, and he delivers like Macbeth's big soliloquy at the very end of that episode to an empty crowd. Like nobody's there in the seats, empty theater, just delivers it, and he's had trouble the entire episode trying to deliver that soliloquy, and it's just like, oh Dan,
Yeah.
Dan,
Yeah.
oh man, buddy,
It's good when they do
Very
Shakespeare.
good.
It's always it's The Simpsons parodying older stuff like that. I think they do really well.
I agree. Yeah.
Anyways, we should wrap up, but before we do, I just you mentioned that where we're at that point you can kind of see that, like, oh hey, actually we might be going downhill now. And I guess my question would be, now that you've watched whatever you're at, you said like season 25 or something.
22. Yep.
When you look back at these episodes, does it feel like, oh, these became the template, the formula for everything that came after? Or do these still kind of feel, hey, this is a very specific era that, like, yeah, it's on the down, we're going down, but this is a very different era than 22. Like, no, it's still a couple more seasons until we get to that point where you can just go like, yeah, no, this is the point where this is just the formula they use for everything going forward.
A little bit of both. So at this point, like I said, like I mentioned, especially with the Simpsons Bible Stories episode, that is a repeated style of episode later on. It is more or less once per season they do one of these episodes, which does mean we do get less clip shows. But, like, it's weird because I feel tricked into watching these episodes because, like, there is a earlier season where, like, they do the where's the later season? I'm not sure if it's a later season or earlier season. Either way, they did the one where they're riding the rails with, like, a hobo, and he starts telling them, like, folklore tales about like the USA, and that one's pretty good. So, like, there's that one, but after that it just starts dropping, like, rapidly. Simpsons gives you blank amount of episodes about blank subject matter, becomes a filler to a point where I sometimes yearn for a clip show, just because I know those are mostly skippable. If I see clip show, I can go like, well, I will still watch it, but if I was watching the episodes like natively, I just go like, hey, I know this is going to be a clip show coming up this, like, tonight on this on like Fox or whatever. I will skip this episode, and next week I'll watch Simpsons again. It'll be a non-clip show. No problem. You skip the clip show. So that's not an issue. But, like, the Simpsons presents you blank episodes about blank subject matter. That ends up being a trap because they're never very good. And they... but, like, you hope they have something. Because, technically speaking, that's the formula for the Trios of Horrors. Which is three stories about something. All in a row, connected a little bit, maybe not a whole lot, who knows, who cares. But here are 3 stories about this. And you go, oh, cool, it's like Trios of Horrors, but way lamer. So that's one formula that they grab onto, is that. But the other thing they grab onto is kind of the attitude in seasons 9 and 10, which is we can do no wrong, so it doesn't matter what we write.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it starts getting like that. And then at some point, the attitude changes from we can do no wrong, so it doesn't matter, to, oh, everybody hates us, fuck them anyway. To, like, basically there are episodes later on that are kind of like actively disdaining their fans. And, like, we are now, in my opinion, like I said, season 10 kind of ends the golden age of The Simpsons. We are out of the golden age at this point. because 11 and onward, up till maybe about, I'm going to say up till about season 20 or 19 or 20, is the Simpsons Silver Age, if we're using that like comic book terminology. So that's what we're entering now. And I gotta say, it will start off strong. Buckle up. Buckle the fuck up. Like the Silver Age comics, buckle the fuck up.
Look, we know you're so excited for us to get to your favorite episode with Ricky Gervais, but you gotta just keep yourself calm until then, Tristan.
I hate him so much, and that episode sucks
so bad.
and
you can talk about how much you love him and why it's your favorite episode.
Okay. Well, okay. You know how? Okay, I'll put this out there. Season. I'll put this out there just as a teaser. Season 11 is a little better than season 10. Yeah. Good. It's good news, right? Yep. Even though it has Mel Gibson. So, just saying. But, after the strong start, it struggles to hit 7 out of 10.
Until Ricky Gervais shows up. And then it's the first in the entire season 10 out of 10. It's incredible.
Absolutely struggles the entire time. I will also point out, for upcoming episode reasons, the Silver Age is the era of the Simpsons movie.
An okay movie.
We'll get there. No spoilers, but it is probably the best part of the Silver Age of the Simpsons.
Yeah,
Sure.
All right. I guess if we're ignoring the video games, sure, yeah.
We are, yeah. Those are hard to find, and I kind of want to play them a little more. I guess I could just pirate them.
I mean, those don't have any story or anything, but Hit and Run.
Hit and Run's really good, though.
The actual The Simpsons game on the 360.
Just quickly, the story about Hit and Run, right? You know the reason why that exists?
I forget it. I've definitely heard it.
Okay. Just for anybody who doesn't know, Simpsons Hit and Run was in prototype for a long time, and the idea was for any Simpsons article of clothing, any merchandising thing, whatever, it doesn't matter, video games and especially that sort of stuff. Matt Groening wanted to sign off on it personally because he owns the property, so of course he wants to sign off on that stuff. And so when they were making the Simpsons Hit and Run, they didn't know if they had a good product, and they brought Matt Groening in just to view the alpha version of the game, and he spent 20 minutes straight just running over Marge and cackling. And then he just turned after he was done with that, he just turned to the team and gave them a big thumbs up and walked out of the room. So
it's a good game.
It's a really good game, yeah. I mean, The Simpsons plus GTA, who'd have thought, right? Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for the Golden Age of The Simpsons. I am sad to see it go. I think, though, that for our viewing audience, you'll get more information about episodes that you have not seen at this point, I think. The majority of you, I'm pretty sure, have jumped off of The Simpsons by this point in your life. If not, you've watched them as teenagers and mostly forgot about these episodes. That's fair. But for you, dear listener and viewer, you're in for a treat, because I know how much you enjoy watching me suffer. This is where we start spiraling out of control. To a point where like I said, I am now hitting modern day Simpsons, and I'm grasping at straws and finding little nuggets of wonderful episodes here or there. So once we get through the spiral, we can start talking about the good stuff again. Sort of. And by good stuff, I mean a 7 out of 10 exists in a season. It's like, oh shit, that shouldn't be here. What are you doing here? Get in this the golden age.
Well, don't worry about
That's
it.
the feeling.
Yeah, once you're done with Simpsons, you finally get 10 out of 10 episodes every single time when you start your Family Guy full rewatch.
Yeah, great. Oh fuck. I have thought about it. Yeah.
No.
I was like, but like that's even more depressing because I really don't like Family Guy. Like season 1 to 3 of Family Guy is tolerable to me. Other than that, steer clear.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should wrap up. So why don't you tell people where to find us?
Well, you should go to our Twitter page, which is at EIFNAR. Go there and like tell us how much you enjoy The Simpsons. I say this every time. What are your favorites of 9 and 10? Yeah, let us know. Engage a little bit. Even if I don't engage back a whole lot, because I don't do Twitter a whole lot anymore. But maybe you could scream into the air like what Twitter was originally made for. Mm. You can also go to our Spotify, iTunes, podcatcher page, wherever you can get your podcasts. Listen to our great show there. Watch it on YouTube, what you're doing right now. Press the buttons that do the things. This one, not that one, this one. And then, like, share it with your friends. Just be like, hey, you like The Simpsons? Here's this guy. Here are these two guys doing this really dumb project where they rewatch all of it. And then every so often they also talk about something else that's actually important. Sans topics is what I'm trying to say. Also go to our friend's site, which is djdane.com. Let's go to music. djdane.com. Our music guy. Listen to his great tunes. And I mean, like, maybe sit him down and just explain gun safety to him.
Yeah, he needs it.
He needs it, yeah. Desperately.
I mean, ever since we replaced his hands with guns, he needs to be safe with those.
He is playing Edward 40 hands, but by 40 hands, I mean he has like a 40-round clip in his gun. It's not a good time for anybody. He's very nervous about this whole thing.
You know, he can be old-timey fun. Pew, pew, pew. He'll at people's feet at least.
They are AKs, so I don't know. Might be a little hard for him. Anyway, that's it for our show. Tune in next time for their elaborations episode of Everything is Finally Ruined. See ya.
See ya.
Say it.